Welcome to the first official episode of Making It Awkward. I'm your host, Jessica Wilson. On today's episode, I talk with my dad about why I decided to start my own podcast. He's a boomer and doesn't exactly understand what podcasts are, but was still willing to sit down for this chat. This episode was recorded with video. There's a moment in my storytelling when you'll hear my dad make a swift kick in the pants sound, and another that's a slight smack across the face sound. You can watch him make these gestures along with the sounds on YouTube and Spotify video. Now, here's the chat with my pops. I hope you enjoy it. Today for this pilot episode, I've invited my dad on to hear about why I decided to start a podcast. So first, very curious. I'm going to explain a podcast real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so you record it, and then it goes to Jen. Thanks, Jen, the editor, who goes through, smooths it out, make sure if we say something we don't want, she takes it out.
We tell her we don't want that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't worry about it. Easy breezy.
It's not her decision to take without us.
No. And then people go to apps on their phone or their computer or their iPad and listen. So today's podcast is sponsored by the Legacy Donation of Sacramento Outboard Services, a Black-owned business in the Sacramento and West Sacramento area. The owner is retiring soon, and this podcast is very grateful for the estate and legacy donation to making this podcast possible.
Wow.
Very nice of them over there.
For Sacramento Outboard Service to donate the time, the money, the effort, and the resources. And
to making this podcast possible.
Put that on.
Leave that on. Great.
Wow.
Stellar owner.
World renowned. Nationally, yeah.
Nationally recognized.
Yeah, I've gotten calls from all over the country, from Florida to Nebraska to New York.
Yeah. So you're the owner? You're outing yourself as the owner?
Hmm?
You're the owner.
I am the owner, yes.
Yes. I've also brought you on to tell you why I decided to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So I've been on Instagram, got a decent following there, recently published a book. So in a very saturated podcast market, I am jumping in. May not seem like the smartest thing because there's so many podcasts out here.
Yeah, I'm quite sure there's a bunch.
Yeah, there's a bunch. So I think I'm going to try and make the case that this one is both valuable and perhaps even necessary for where we are right now. But first, it's going to be funny. We're going to have fun guests, maybe some regulars, developing segments on this podcast, taking listener questions.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah, I'm excited about that part. Back in early May, I think I was staying in my fourth city in 3 different weekends. So this was a conference, the National Transgender Health Conference in San Francisco. I was there for 2 nights. I was speaking on the second day about body mass index requirements and gatekeeping and gender affirming care. Got there on the first day. I'm looking around and I'm noticing people aren't looking back at me.
They're not looking back.
They are not. Oftentimes they're looking right through me. I don't know if that's ever happened to you when you enter predominantly either academic or white spaces.
No, I get glared at.
You get glared at.
Yeah, like, why am I there?
Oh, people don't even see me. Like, they're there to talk to other people and it is not me. Mm. And I'm struck by this because I have been on book tour, months prior, and people were coming to hear me speak.
Mm-hmm. So they knew who you were.
Yeah, they knew who I was. Yeah. They wanted to hear what I had to say. I'm at this conference. People don't know that I'm speaking the second day and that I might have things to say. Anyhow, I'm there. And all of this is happening. I've forgotten what this is like. This is typical for me at eating disorder or academic conferences, being oftentimes the only Black person there.
They didn't know you were Black. I mean, the book didn't tell everybody that you were Black.
Well, I'm there for the conference. It's not a book event.
They don't know anything about the book.
Yeah, I'm just there as a dietitian.
Okay, they don't know anything about the book.
No, they don't know anything about the book. So I'm just like a regular person who they think is there just to learn. But I'm speaking the next day. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm wondering if, my experience is actually what is happening. I'm looking around. I'm like, maybe it's just me. I don't know what's happening. At lunchtime, it just all builds up and I know what is happening, that people are ignoring me, not seeing me. I call Alicia. I'm like crying. I'm just like, I forgot what it's like to be Black in these spaces. I don't want to go back in there. I'm gonna get food. I'll get lunch. I walk into this like little teeny eatery. There's a Black queer person working the register. They look right at me and I'm like, okay, I do exist. Like I am not at this, you know, academic conference. I'm just at a little corner situation. And that person knows how to see me. Okay, so maybe I'm not making this up. I get back. I decide once in, like, let's just make this clear. So I go grab one of the white people who works at the clinic that I work at in San Francisco. I tell them what's going on. I say, can you, you know, just go around and meet some of the surgeons with me and we'll see what happens. So it's a trans health conference. There's a lot of surgeons there who do gender affirming care.
Okay.
Those are the people that I'm looking to network with because I'm looking to break down barriers to care by eliminating like weight requirements and stuff like that. So I take this person, JM, the director of Lion Martin Health Services.
That's the place where you go on once a month on Wednesdays.
Yeah, on Wednesdays to dietitian.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I take them. We meet surgeon number 1. They bring me up, say, this is Jessica. She's working on building out the eating disorder program at Lion Martin. She's also working on, you know, eliminating BMI requirements for gender affirming surgery. This surgeon, white dude, looks at me, is noticeably uncomfortable, perhaps even shaking during this interaction where he has to look at me in the face, looks directly back at JM, who is, you know, talking about my work. Yes, can only have this like eye contact situation. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like this is a sample of one. We'll see if it's just this guy or if it's somebody else. So we turn to surgeon number 2, another white guy. JM introduces me again. This is Jessica. This is what she's working on. This surgeon turns to me and says, oh, are you working the arts and crafts table? At the conference. I didn't do that. But instead I stare him down, as I'm sure you and I have practiced many times.
Many times.
Yeah, the people who glare right at you. I just gave that face. After a couple of awkward seconds, he says, oh, is it too late in the day for a joke? It was like 1 or 2 p.m. I was like, this is not how you recover from this moment.
Oh, he saw a screw up and he's now trying to back out of it.
Yeah, he's just trying to backpedal himself out of the situation by calling it a joke. And I'm like, no, that's not.
You've already been introduced as
who I am.
And he's going to make some sarcastic comment.
Oh, I think he was serious.
You think so? Okay.
He wasn't that. Yeah, that was not sarcastic. He thought seriously that I was at this conference, medical and academic conference, to staff the arts and crafts table. After hearing that I'm a dietitian for Lion Martin Health Services.
Yeah, you've been introduced as it.
Yes.
So, but a dietitian, but yet you're only capable of operating the
arts and crafts table. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I am not making this up. This is exactly what is happening. I want to go home. I cannot go home because I'm speaking tomorrow. So I, in San Francisco, will walk to a taqueria, get tacos, sit in my room, and feel the feelings and remember what this is like. Before going to these things, I used to do a lot of mental prep beforehand and then like have something in place after. But again, I've just been desensitized through COVID and like having people who want to talk to me. So the next morning I am, finishing up my slides and I'm remembering like every detail of that moment and me staring into his face and making like a very awkward situation for him that he has to backpedal out of. And then me continuing to show up and put myself in these spaces. And I was like, this is something that I do. People, after reading my book or after listening to me on Instagram, are always like, but how do we solve these problems, Jessica? We can't just like solve racism. Like, what do we do in order to start making changes? Those are questions that I'm always asked. And there are people out there who are like really great at reimagining worlds and all of these things. That's not my deal. But I do know what I do in order to create these changes. And I keep showing up and making it awkward. Yep. As the only, say, queer person, Black person, dietitian, whatever it is. And I really think that if more of us show up and make it awkward, yeah, that we can change some things.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love for you to come back later and talk about your experiences.
Yeah, I do. I don't particularly enjoy it, but hey, when I do go into these different situations where only Black person, I don't care if it's wine tasting or we go whatever, things like that.
Your gentleman's boat situation,
right? I mean, going to when we went to Constantino, we were the only
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't Black people there. Okay, fine.
It's fine.
Yeah,
we're gonna be here.
We're gonna be here, and that constitutes you're uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm. And
I've been doing that for 76 years.
Yes. Yeah. And
being glared at and oh shoot, who is this? Being the invader.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is particularly a white situation, and here I am.
And here I am.
Here I am.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's had to happen a lot. Now, in your case, you're dealing with professionals who are now elite, as they see themselves. I'm more down at the little regular, common rednecks,
But I think it matters too.
It does matter too.
Right? When people walk into your shop, that is clothing, Sacramento Port Services, and they ask where the owner is.
Yeah, it's just like the one I told you, but I mean, there was Jack, I think his name was Jack. We were both there talking by a boat that at one time. The guy came in and had a problem with his boat, and Jack was white, and he started immediately talking to him. And he just played him up for a while. Let the guy sit there and rattle on with his boat about 5 minutes and whatever, and then he just finally, hey, I don't know a damn thing about what you're talking about. This is the guy you should be talking about. The guy was just like, wow. Mm-hmm. The Black guy is the one that knows all about this. Mm-hmm. And he was, you can see the shock in his face. I mean, the surprise. Anyway, oh my gosh, I don't know if he was surprised by the idea that I'm Black or surprised or shocked by the idea that, hey, I fucked up.
I mean, both.
Yeah, maybe
right?
both.
Perhaps like awkwardness, embarrassment, like shock. How could this be? But also, oops. Not even in front of you, but in front of this white guy.
Did I offend, the owner? Is he willing to work on my...
Ooh, yeah.
Is he going to tell me to get my sorry ass the hell out of there? Or what is going to happen? When he left, both of us laughed.
For sure.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Hang around there and do it all the time. I know.
Yeah. Stuff.
Yeah, stuff.
I think that's the regular bits, though. So sure, I might be doing at like a different level, but as people get more accustomed to making it awkward, and I feel, it doesn't. I don't feel like it should be always the Black folks doing this. I feel like there's a lot of work out there for white folks to, jump into spaces, say things that are true that other white folks perhaps have not thought about.
Yeah, and I noticed there's a failure among white people to do that. Somebody's got to explain that to me one of these days.
That they're just okay?
Yeah, that it's okay. And me as Black people, I've heard other Black people say racist things about white people. I just said, whoa, hold on a minute. What are you talking about? But white people tolerate racism. They may not be. I can't see. They can't. To me, every white person is racist. They have racist tendencies. They have preconceived tendencies.
Sure.
Yeah, but they may not be out straight. But why will they tolerate racism? That's something I've always had a problem with.
Maybe we can find out.
Yeah.
So hopefully, by hearing stories of people who continually show up, make things awkward, and it will be funny along the way.
It was comical, I tell you.
Well, yeah. Like, it isn't going to be like all doom and gloom.
The guy just, you can see, like I said, you see the shock. He said, well, shoot, maybe he had this preconceived notion in his head. This just got blew up. Wow. So.
I don't know. I'll have you back on to talk about the drag counter protests.
Oh, the one that was on
Freeport.
Freeport Boulevard, yeah.
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 So we'll talk about it was Freeport. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. We can talk about you growing up and putting yourself in situations.
Oh, I was shot at and everything else down there because I was.
Don't tell me. I haven't heard these stories yet. So we'll get to hear those stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I really wanted this platform and a place to talk about my publishing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't told my publishing story. And on all of these book tours, I feel like I haven't been authentic because I haven't been able to share any of the stuff that went on in the background. Okay. Also, I want to talk about that letter that I read aloud to you, Madeline, and Blake when we were over at the coffee shop. You didn't believe it was true.
No.
It's true. So I want to talk about that part and how I was treated, mostly how my book was treated along the way in an experience where I was assured that they were going to take care of me. Yeah, and I want to spend a decent time just talking about what it's like to be Black in publishing and the promises that are made and the outcomes. Yeah, so a lot more of the awkwardness. I also want to hear from listeners. It could be anything that's awkward, from bodily functions to activism. I'm not above any of those type of moments. And then, yeah, I want to hear questions that people have. I promise it's going to be also fun.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think podcasts should be fun.
They are going to be fun. I like that, before today you were unsure what podcasts are, but they are going to be fun. Yeah. It is going to be fun. Okay. I think so.
Fun is also captivating. I mean, it keeps you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll keep you. It helps you absorb material that people. Somebody just sitting there just stern, just hey man, help with this bastard. But yeah, all right. Give me something
entertaining to
keep watching. Yeah.
Yes.
Information. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Should be.
Yeah. We'll test out some segments.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll do some test segments. I'll write some notes down.
Yeah. I'm going to have somebody on to talk about queer aesthetic. Shane is going to talk about publishing. Lexi is going to talk about neurodivergence and having ADHD and autism.
She does?
Yeah, this is new. I know brand new information. I have epilepsy, which is also apparently neurodivergence. Also just learned that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amy is going to talk about ultra-processed foods and the silliness that surrounds that. And then we'll talk about, disrupting what I hope will be the journalism industry. Because right now they like to pretend that human rights issues are up for debate. There's two sides. No. Yeah. And the reporting that they do on nutrition and body stuff is just so terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be covering those.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up this episode by again thanking Jen Jacobs for being an excellent editor. I'll remind folks that this episode is sponsored by Sacramento Outboard Services, the legacy
for the time being,
and the estate of Sacramento Outboard Services,
which is going to be her generational wealth.
That would be amazing, Dad.
Yeah, but the place done more. It did more than I expected over the last 23 years.
Okay. Thanks.
But it did.
Great job, Dad.
Yeah. Then you got generational wealth, so you can pass it on to.
Yeah. I think building Black generational wealth should be an entire episode. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see that. I'm on with it.
We got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if folks have ideas for guests or segments, topics, I would love to hear them. Very open to feedback. And until next time, keep making it awkward.
Yeah, please do. I mean, be the unexpected. Yeah.
Well, that's my dad, everyone. Next week, I get to sit down with Mala Catline for a chat about queer aesthetics and fashion. I also try my hand at a listener Q&A segment. Until next time, keep making it awkward. This episode audio and video was edited and mixed by Jen Jacobs and is a production of The Body Political Incorporated. Today's episode was sponsored by the estate of Sacramento Outboard Services. I'm your host, Jessica Wilson. Tune in weekly for more conversations.
Action.
Wait, you want to say hi to Jen?
Do I want to say hi to Jen?
Yeah. How do we make this bigger? Say hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
Don't keep.
Hi, Jen.
Don't keep. My name is Jessica Wilson.
Glad to meet you.
It is going out of business soon, and we're so grateful.
Soon.
Yes.
Soon.
Retire.
Not going out of this.
Sorry.
That's
Okay, Jen, we're cutting that line out. We're saying, what are we saying?
Yeah, well, owner is
Retiring.
retiring soon.
Good job, guys.
Peace, Jen.